Interesting. Yeah, you've just rattled them off there, and I didn't give you any advanced warning. I never do. I mean, our conversations are very spontaneous. So clearly it's something that you've put a lot of thought into. Rob, what about the South African ambassador to the United States? I know it's important to us. They don't really give a toss over there, but Mcebisi Jonas is a good guy. We know he's a good guy. He stood up against the Guptas, and he did some silly things. He said some silly things about Trump a while back, but that's really the only blemish on his record. He's not a crook, and the guys who know him really give him the thumbs up. What's he going to have to do, or what is going to have to happen for the Americans to say, look, okay, we forgive you on that one. Let's do it. Let's work together, because at least he understands business and he's straight.
I would accept Mcebisi Jonas as the ambassador if I was America. I think he's a fundamentally good guy. He should apologize for his comments. You know, for 30 years, since 1994, all the sort of ANC, black podcasters, media commentators have had the moral superiority to say what they want. For 30 years, they've been saying what they want, and no one's pushed back. And just recently, people have pushed back and said, that's not true. You're making it up. Those facts aren't right. And it's good. It's good that there's a pushback. But I do hope Trump accepts Jonas as the ambassador, but I still wouldn't meet with him in particular. I wouldn't assign any senior people to meeting with the South African ambassador until South Africa shows they're serious and repeals EWC, drops the case against Israel through ICJ, and starts removing BEE. And South Africa is, under the ANC, a racist, socialist, ineptocratic and kleptocratic organization. And why should I, as America, take South Africa seriously? Even the GNU. I mean, appoint an ambassador, accept Jonas, but I wouldn't even listen to a word he say. He's going to try and explain South Africa. Donald Trump shouldn't be interested in hearing that explanation. Action, not words. Repeal EWC, and then we'll talk, is what he should be saying.
It's a very good point that you make there. If America is now driving aggressively against non-racialism, why would it accept a racist society? And as much as you might find a way of justifying it on redress and whatever, it's still racist. It's still based on the color of your skin. And we know that's bullshit, because you get very wealthy black people and very smart black people and very advantaged black people who can just game the system. And by the same token, you get the opposite of people who happen to maybe be colored or white or even Indian. So who knows?
And Alec, I've got some, if you said to me, Rob, what message would you give to Brent Bozell, the ambassador in waiting, who I think will get confirmed relatively soon? Took quite a few months for the Israeli ambassador to Israel to be confirmed, but I think they're all going to be confirmed soonish. What is my message to him? And what is my message to Donald Trump? 1, do not listen to South Africa, have meetings, accept any meetings with anyone until this government repeals EWC, drops the case against Israel and ICJ, and shows a real willingness to remove BEE. No discussions till then. 0. Okay, not even on trade. Okay? Secondly, move the ambassador from Pretoria to Cape Town. Back the Western Cape, remove all tariffs on the Western Cape, including on wine, any agricultural product for the Western Cape, because the Western Cape has been run by the DA, and the DA has not been in favor of EWC, DEI, BEE, ICJ case. I think America should look at the Western Cape and say, you know what, we're going to do everything we do into South Africa and Southern Africa through the Western Cape, through Cape Town. We're going to move our ambassador to Cape Town. Forget Pretoria. I'm not interested in talking to the ANC and those muffins. We'll talk to the DA. We'll make the DA our official mouthpiece of what we want to achieve, the benefits we want to give to South Africa, but things we want to see happen in South Africa that the DA has anyway been supporting. And I'd, offer to refurbish Simonstown, but make it much more America-centric. I'd offer to do a massive investment in the port of Saldanha. Everything should be focused on supporting, enhancing the Western Cape. And anyone in the Western Cape, there'd be no tariffs to America, but slam tariffs on the rest of South Africa. Punish the bad guys, embolden the good guys,
It hasn't really been raised. I haven't heard that anywhere. It's It's much better than Western Cape Independence. Oh,
Where's first on Biz News?
As per usual. But Rob, I want to ask you about Errol Krueger. Did you ever meet him? Do you know Errol? He passed away over the weekend, and I'll tell you why I wanted to raise it here. I met him in London. He was the registrar of banks in South Africa in the run-up to the global financial crisis and during the global financial crisis. We came out of that pretty well. We didn't have to have banks being bailed out and so on. And anybody on the inside says that's because Errol ran a very tight ship. Anyway, I can say it now because the man has passed, but he gave me some very interesting information about what Marcus Jooste was up to, because Errol used to frequent a place called the Millennium Hotel, which I'm sure you know. It's a big hotel in central London in Piccadilly. And at that hotel, Marcus Jooste took all of his friends to attend the Rugby World Cup. And Errol said it was absolutely horrific to see how these guys behaved. And that was the first thing for me to start realizing, hang on, all is not well in the state of Denmark. And I started looking at it. But my point was, Errol, having passed, one has a look at, he came back to South Africa. He sorted out the Qatari financial services. He's on I think it's the Bahrain central bank board. He's on the board of Nedbank, chaired 3 committees. And I'm wondering what his legacy is. One of, here was an unsung South African. What is Rob Hersov's legacy? What do you want it to be? I know you've got a long way to go still. You've got another 30 or 40 years, one hopes, of contribution to make. But if you were to write your own legacy today, what would you want people to remember you for?
I mean, as a Stoic, and I do try and practice Stoicism, Stoics don't believe in legacies. We really don't. We believe in doing the right thing every day as we live, and then we're gone. But I suppose a legacy is created by others. So, it's up to everyone else to define what my legacy is and isn't. But people often ask me, what's my end game in this capitalist activism, political activism, calling truth to power? The end game is that enough people start standing up and calling out evil, corruption, kleptocracy, ineptocracy, and doing something about it. It's one thing calling out the ANC. It's another thing. You read the Zondo Commission, you realize nothing's been done. Nothing. Zero accountability. But I think at a point where I feel more than enough people are standing up and calling out the ANC, MK, EFF, people like Imtiaz Suleiman, people like Julius Malema, the bad guys, with no fear of retribution, and things actually start to get done, and it starts to define itself in the municipals and the national election, which, as Franz Cronier so accurately says, is happening. It's democracy in process. My job's done, and I'll just quietly step back into the not the shadows, but into the sunlight by the pool. And I think, I'm not looking for a statue. I'm not looking for awards. I'm looking for anything. There's nothing in it for me. No financial rewards, no ego rewards. I would just be happy to see South Africa heading in the right direction.